Hello everyone and welcome to episode 26 of the Spacemen from Pluto podcast. I'm your host Dan, and as usual I'm joined by
Ben,
James,
and Christian.
So today on the podcast, we're feeling a bit supernatural, shall we say, a little bit mysterious. Why is this though, guys? Why is this?
I don't know, Dan. You tell me.
Well,
Why are we feeling supernatural?
Well, I don't know if any of our listeners are aware, or if you guys are aware, but UFOs are real now.
Yeah.
They exist.
That kind of flew under the radar, didn't it?
Literally, yes.
Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
So, yeah, according to the US government, and according to recently Obama himself, there's mysterious craft that are just flying about in the sky. And nobody knows what they are.
The very definition of a
The very definition. Although they're being called UAPs. This is the new modern term. UAPs.
Unidentified aerial
anal probe.
Almost. I'm not saying which one's closer. No, Christian is closest.
Unidentified aerial
projectile.
No. Unidentified
pizza.
Projectile.
It's actually it's pineapple. Not
really unidentified, then, is it?
Pineapple. It's actually unidentified aerial phenomena. That's the new term.
Is it a UAP now to get away from because everyone thinks UFO means alien?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think it probably is. I think
UFO sounds very conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat wearing.
Yeah, I think it's just been associated with fiction to the point where they've just had to rename UFOs.
So yeah, the Pentagon has been studying this stuff. They've actually been there was some kind of behind the scenes kind of secret, almost like X-Files type sort of team of people.
The Smoking Man.
Called ATIP. I don't quite know what that stands for, and it's not quite as cool as X-Files, but they were called ATIP. and they're pretty stumped. So to kind of vaguely bring this back on topic, as we are a film and television podcast, I would thought we'd mark this occasion by talking about some of our favourite alien films, UFO-based films, and TV. But before we start, though, first 2 questions, guys. Do you guys know more about the backstory of this? Because I want to actually talk about it a little bit before we delve into it.
Yeah, I think we've got to talk about the real stuff.
I don't really know anything.
Sure. And secondly, have you all remembered
about anything?
Have you all remembered your tinfoil hats today?
Oh, I've not.
Wait, bear with.
Have you got
that? Is mint. I can make one out of a little Easter egg. I've got. Bear with.
Should we all go and make one?
I mean, we could do, and then we could just cut.
I do have some tinfoil.
Come on, Christian, go.
What the fuck has this podcast become? When we started, we were like, oh yeah, we all quite like films. It'd be cool to talk about that on the internet. Who would have thought 6 months in we'd all be sat here in tinfoil fucking hats?
We're just losing our minds collectively over the course of 26 episodes. I feel more relaxed. I feel kind of more meditative, like I can think clearly for the first time in 30 years.
Yeah, because you've not got the government brain waves going into your brain, mate.
I was saying because it's keeping all the memories stored in his head.
It's retained thought.
I'm glad you guys are taking this seriously.
Your move, Creed.
Very seriously.
Oh, shit, God. The government can hear me. Oh, there we go.
Get it back on. We're now going to have a serious discussion on UFOs. What do you guys know about this? Because I did mention it on the last podcast. I wanted a quick conversation about the actual what is going on. I don't know how much you know. How much do you need explaining?
Nothing really.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I would say for the average man, the Jameses, let's explain it like they're 5.
Well,
thank you.
Well, basically, over the course of the last couple of years, footage has come to light of these UAPs mostly footage that's derived from the military, from the United States military. While they've been out on exercises, their fighter planes and such. And the footage shows these craft, whatever you want to call them, kind of flying about as a normal craft would, and then subsequently pulling off some mad maneuver that's outside of our current understanding of physics and has no real explanation. There are no signs of any wings or anything on these crafts. There's no sign of any propulsion or anything like that. It's basically just completely unexplained. So this footage has been floating about for a while, and the pilots have actually come out and said, yeah, this was real, we saw it, this is legitimate footage. And they've done various interviews with various people. But what's kind of brought it to prominence lately is that, you guys ever heard of the show 60 Minutes? It's like an American kind of a news show. It's been going decades, this show. I'm pretty sure it's been going about 50 years or so. It's really, really kind of well regarded. It used to be very well regarded back in the day, back when people watched TV, live TV. But they released a little segment where they basically got all these pilots together. They got various other people who were associated with the study of these aerophenomenon together. I know James is trying not to laugh.
Honestly, I just keep looking at us all stood there in these fucking tinfoil hats, and it keeps making me giggle.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is kind of ridiculous, but
we keep them on.
I love it. I love it. Sorry,
but we can't talk about this stuff without wearing them.
Yeah, the government will stop us.
Yeah. So yeah, this. Oh no, Ben, get it back on.
Ben's hat's falling off.
I can't wait for at one point the hat to fall off and him to go catch it and knock something slightly, and then his entire mic arm just to fall off the desk.
I keep sort of looking at myself and thinking, where have I gone wrong here? What's happened?
Where have you gone right, mate?
Exactly. Exactly. I appear to be wearing a piece of tinfoil on my head live on the internet. Anyway, let's crack on.
Not live.
Not live. Oh, that's all right then. So, yeah, 60 Minutes did this segment where they got the pilot in question. They got a couple of pilots. This guy's called Commander David Fravor. He's a very credible guy. He's, in his own words, not a UFO guy. He doesn't have any kind of axe to grind in that way. He's not a conspiracy theorist or anything. He's just a proper straight-laced guy. He came on and said, yeah, this is real. This is what I saw. His wingman came on and said, yep, I saw it in my plane as well. And then another pilot came on when we were seeing these every day. And the US government has basically said, yes, these videos are real. We don't know what they are. The pilots are telling the truth. These things are completely mysterious. It doesn't mean they're aliens, but they are unidentified, and we don't know what they want or who they are. It could be a foreign government. It could be some a government who has outstripped the United States technology.
My post just fell off the wall.
Oh, they're listening.
God, I think it's terrifying.
See a little eye with a peephole behind it.
But yeah, it's I find it very fascinating because I'm quite a skeptic when it comes down to these things. I guess I just wanted to ask you guys what you think. Are you skeptical towards this kind of stuff? And also, why isn't it being discussed more? Because it seems like a pretty big deal.
That is what's mental.
The government is Obama has said, yeah, they are real. They are real. It's not a question of if then they're probably not real, or this footage has been doctored and there's some other explanation. It's they are real. We just don't know what they are. So it seems like it should be bigger news, really. What do you think?
That's the most mental thing about this, is that it happened and it's just really gone, sort of, for the most part, unspoken about. This should be huge news that would be everywhere. No one would stop talking about it. I'd barely even heard of it.
Yeah, I think because it's not like a scene out of a movie where the UFO lands and a Martian walks out of it. Starts killing us.
It's probably as close as we're gonna get, though.
I think it's probably one of them things where, because there is this such a like culture and sort of stereotype for sort of UFO conspiracy nuts and that sort of thing. Even now, the government coming out and saying, yeah, these are unidentified, the unidentified possible spacecraft. People have just turned around and gone, they're just giving the conspiracy nuts what they want, so they'll shut up.
Yeah.
What if they're lying? What if the government's just lying?
Yeah,
they would never do that to us, would they?
I
was going to say there's two conspiracies working against each other. People are like, I believe in aliens, and then the government are like, oh, well, yeah, okay, fine, we'll come out, we'll say there is some unidentified craft that we're trying to, identify, and now people are like, but we don't trust the government. The government are trying to control us, they're lying.
I trust Reddit more than you.
Exactly. Yeah. I've actually heard that people are thinking, oh, yeah, the government are lying, it's just an excuse to be able to put up the military budget and spend a load on defence. But these
Space
are the same
Force.
people. Yeah, saying that it's like the basically. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things was that's why he made the Space Force, because he knew about these like aliens or whatever they are. But yeah, it's like I guess we are in the middle of pandemic. The media's attention is elsewhere, but still, I feel like if this kind of came out 10 years ago, people would be going mental and saying, yes, it's an actual, what is going on? It's proper, mystery. But no.
Can you imagine, even 10 years ago, imagine if this came out in the 90s. People lost their shit just because we were approaching the year 2000. If they found out that there was spaceships, they would have lost their fucking minds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's just very much because everything is just noise now, isn't it? It's just another thing that's happened, and you need someone to kind of contextualize it, because actually the 60 Minutes interview didn't actually give anyone anything new. It's just because they put it into a nice package and interviewed these pilots in this nice segment. These pilots have already been interviewed individually on various shows, and it's on YouTube, and it has been for years, and the footage, some of the footage is dated from 2004. It's not like it's mega recent or anything. Some of it is more recent, but it just has to have someone to come along and put it into a nice presentable package that is bite size. Yeah, that keeps people's attention for 10 minutes, because people don't have any attention span anymore, and it's already we're already out of date. This happened a week or so ago, and it's it feels like it stopped trending. It's one of those things that's kind of, it's just a thing that's at the top of Twitter for a couple of days, or people are just it's just bizarre though.
Taylor Swift bought a new dog or something, so people have forgotten.
Exactly.
Brad Pitt won custody of his kids. That's bigger news.
I mean, look how pointy that is, though. That is mad. It's really sharp.
It is powerful. That's powerful. That could kill a man.
Am I allowed to take it off because my head's dead sweaty?
Not until we stop talking.
You can't
about
take
it.
it
Oh
off.
no!
Once we move on to the film section, you can take it off.
Okay, fair enough.
But here's what. Do you guys believe in aliens and extraterrestrial life?
I want to believe.
Oh, there he goes. In the sheer amount, how big the universe is.
Yes.
In terms of just mathematics and probability, there has to be something out there. I don't believe in Martians.
No.
And flying green men, and the circular UFO spacecraft.
Flying green, little green men.
Little green men that fly.
Oh, flying green men.
It
just implies they can fly.
Sometimes
they don't have any craft.
Martian
they can just
Manhunt
fly.
can fly.
Oh god.
Sometimes they're grey.
If it's if there's some sort of bacteria that counts.
Yes.
So
I'm
sheer maths, then and also I want to believe.
Yeah, but maybe in the solar system we have life in the form of microbial life, or maybe even slightly more evolved life. Who knows? But in the universe at large, I'd say it's very unlikely that something hasn't evolved at some point, or there is other stuff out there that's complicated
by the sheer law of maths, it has to exist out there because it's infinite. So eventually, it has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how we got here, as far as science is concerned. Yes, it's all. You look stupid now, Ben.
Sorry. That's right.
Oh.
There we go. Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. He's like Chris Rock inspired with the backwards. Like he's trying to be cool.
He went
like
to
a
the game.
backwards
he angles
tinfoil
his head
cap.
at a certain point, you can't even see that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Such a cool guy.
There you go. I've
I
made
think
it work.
I think this might be our least audio-friendly podcast we've done so far.
So
It'll be
it's
alright.
not very friendly for our audio listeners.
Sorry, Spotify and iTunes.
If
I
they're
wanna
if
take
they're
this off so
if they're
much.
listening, they can go to YouTube, man. It's all right. Dan, what do you think? These videos, these crafts. What do you think
That's
they
a good.
are?
That is a
Do
good
you
question.
think they're flying green men?
little flying green men? Maybe, but probably not. Like I have no idea what they are. I don't think they're aliens. I don't know if aliens are that fussed about us. Maybe it's. I mean, these craft though are mad. Like they just completely like defy any. If they're genuine, if they're real, and there's not been some sort of like mad misunderstanding or mix-up or glitch in the cameras, or any amount of things could disprove this. Basically, it's still like even though the government is saying they're real, it could still be something explainable. Within what we know about physics so far.
Bird,
But
innit?
yeah, it's a magpie or something. But
It's just a smudge on the lens.
But
Yeah,
the craft are said to have like done some stuff that's just crazy. Like they accelerate at rates that are just impossible. Like one of them dropped from 80,000 feet to 20,000 feet in 2 seconds, and it was tracked on the radar. It's like multiple. It's not just eyesight. It's plane sensors. It's radar. It's like these things were there doing that according to all the military sensors and everything, and according to all the eyewitness accounts. So I don't know if it's something that's far in advance of what we currently know, and maybe that means it's aliens, and it would be kind of cool. I really want it to be, but I just feel like it's something else. My little pet theory is that it's time
Your
travelers.
tinfoil hat theory.
My tinfoil hat theory.
Yeah, aliens ridiculous. Time travel much more feasible.
I feel like it's actually more feasible than it being a little alien guy driving this thing about. Like maybe because if time travel does exist, then they're gonna have to come back to us at some point. Like come back to this timeline.
Isn't it about time travel that it's not possible unless you can only go back up to the point you've invented the machine that allows you to travel through time?
I mean, all bets are off when it comes down to this.
Or maybe it's
kind of
just because it's all just made up. It doesn't. None of
Well,
it.
Well, because I always
No,
thought this when I was
well-
younger. If time travel is ever invented, would that then not sort of have to mean that every time is happening simultaneously? Because the thought process came from Doctor Who. It's like when they go back in time, have their little adventure. When they then go forward in time, that timeline seems to carry on going if they can dip back into it.
Yeah,
So all time
this is
periods
why-
must be running simultaneously if time travel ever exists.
This is why time travel, as far as films and TV goes, is so notoriously difficult to do properly,
Yes.
because there's so many paradoxes and like loopholes and things that just don't make sense. There's tons there's one. My favourite one is like in Days of Future Past with Wolverine at the end, where it turns out that like
Dan is bringing up of his own volition a comic book film.
wasn't
Let's take a
wasn't
moment. He wasn't baited. It wasn't the topic. There's no
because
new Marvel
finally-
movie coming out that he has to talk about. He brought it up.
it's the hat.
That's a moment. It's the hat. Yeah, you think
I'm
so
thinking
clearly.
clearly.
Sorry, I had to acknowledge that.
No, it's true.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I can't quite remember the details because I've not seen this film in a good few years. But basically, in the film, Wolverine is he lives in one timeline, and then ends up living in another like I think he continues living on that timeline, or I think he goes
His
back.
consciousness, I think,
and then-
is
yeah.
transported.
But then he lives an entire life, and then suddenly remembers his former life in a different timeline, and it's almost
Yeah.
like it erases everything he knows of like his current life, and it's just this really, if you look like a bit closer and more deeply into like actually what that means for that guy, it's like really horrible, because he's
Yeah.
just kind of like he's had this whole life in this timeline that he's lived for, I think it's like decades that he's lived in this timeline,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it's just kind of erased,
Yep.
And it's like, oh, okay, so that's 25 years of his life that have just been... Because it doesn't quite make sense, because the internal logic doesn't make sense, because it's time travel, and time travel is basically innately this really, really complicated thing where you just run into tons of problems. And yeah, it's films are one thing, real life, is also
do you want to know what
another.
makes even less sense about that film, Dan?
What's
when
that?
he goes back in time, his past timeline is running concurrently to his future one. So it's like there are bits where he's getting hurt in the past and his body's freaking out in the future as if it's happening at the same time.
Yeah,
so the timelines are running at the same time, and that gets even messier.
yeah.
As far as the logic of planning went for that film, they went, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart were on screen at the same time?"
Yeah. And they
Yeah,
just
that's about
whacked
it.
that in.
But we've got a
it's
third film after that. Should we not save it for that? Nah, do it. Roll it out now. Do it now.
Roll it out,
the
mate.
third one will feel a bit anticlimactic, won't it? Yeah, it's fine. We're going to do a fourth one as well. That'll be worse. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just do it.
It's fine. We'll make the third one a lot better with a fourth one. Pirates of the Caribbean did it.
That's why they made Dark Phoenix.
all part
It
of the
all
plan.
makes sense now.
Yeah, because Pirates of the Caribbean did it. Pirates of the Caribbean 3 isn't very good until you watch Pirates of the Caribbean 4 and you go, oh my god, 3's a masterpiece.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting, and I just do wonder why it's not more it's not more well known, this report, because it does seem like a big deal, especially if like as soon as Obama said it. I know that Obama's not exactly like the most trustworthy person on the planet already, but he's pretty well regarded and he seems generally pretty sound and sane and pretty credible. And when he's saying like, yeah, there are things that are up there, we don't know what they are. He has gone on record saying that a former president of the United States.
Of all the presidents we
mind-blowing.
had of recent, who thought that it wouldn't be Trump to start going, yeah, aliens are real?
yeah.
As long as if they are aliens, if this does turn out to be aliens, as long as they're friendly, because I don't want to have to owe Roland Emmerich any sort of apology down the line.
They'll be friendly.
Speaking of time travel in movies, have you heard about this film called The Tomorrow War or something with Chris Pratt?
Yes.
The trailer came out the other day. It's a film where Chris Pratt lives in like our present, right? And then like 30 years in the future or whatever, some aliens attack, and there's a war going on, probably to do with time travel or whatever. And soldiers from the future come back to our time and recruit soldiers of the present to fight in the future to help them and stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, there's something there. And then I watched like the trailer, and it's just like generic Chris Pratt action movie with tentacle aliens. And I thought today, wouldn't it have been cooler if instead of making like a generic military action film, they should have like gone back through all of time and got humanity's best.
cool.
The Spartans, the Greeks. No, the Spartans are Greek, aren't they?
Yes.
The Romans,
Yeah.
the Spartans, Napoleon. They should have just got like
Celts.
the Celts. The Celtics, the Rangers. They should have got like they should have done this like mad movie of like humanity's best soldiers fight against like some aliens, and then it just looks like a generic action film. I just need to get that out there.
It just looks like I watched the trailer and I was like, this kind of reminds me of what was it? Was it Edge of Tomorrow with
I
Tom
saw
Cruise?
it,
Yeah.
But
Where
not as good.
I watched that film and I was like, this was actually pretty good, but it was one of those films where I was like, it's kind of generic and there could have been more done with it.
What, Edge of Tomorrow?
I really
Tomorrow's
liked
been.
Tomorrow.
I thought it was good. I just thought it was like, I don't know, it felt very
Didn't it
just
perform
typical.
really poorly?
I mean, it performed poorly enough that they changed the name.
That's what I mean. Well, no, they didn't change the name, didn't they? Wasn't it like when they released it on DVD and Blu-ray?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
They
confusing.
just like plastered it with Live, Die, Repeat, and then the title Edge of Tomorrow is like right in the bottom. 'Cause they
Yeah,
were
but
hoping no one would
that's
realise
because
it
if
was
you look
something-
it up
wasn't
now,
something
it's
different.
called Live, Die, Repeat.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's really strange.
Because
they rebranded it.
They have teased a sequel, and the sequel is called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat.
That's
I mean,
awful.
It's awful. That's the
that's
worst
stupid.
possible name they could give it.
It's still called Edge of Tomorrow on IMDb.
Yeah, it's
It might be in
weird.
America. Maybe in America it's called
Maybe
that.
That makes sense.
Huh.
But yeah, I just thought it was a shame because I thought, it would have been really. You could have had like humanity's best soldiers in like a war against like some aliens and time travel and that. But it's just Chris Pratt doing the military, and it's like, it's just the same. It's all the same. But yeah, Little Green Men, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably just another government testing about, or it is just they're lying.
Yeah, I mean, there's something afoot though, isn't there? There's something, but even if it is a experimental aircraft, it's still doing stuff that is far in advance of what.
I know what it is.
Oh God, here we go.
It's, give it a couple days and Elon Musk will hold a whole press conference where he throws his cards away and goes, I am Iron Man.
I thought you say I am an alien. I thought that was more,
all that,
that's
both
more
are pretty believable.
Yeah, he is a Martian man, definitely. Him and Zuckerberg.
I thought Elon Musk just, gets on stage and is like, and this is the new Tesla.
But we put it in space.
It goes into space. This is my car. It came back from space, and this is what it looks like now.
Yeah. I think Elon's an alien. Zuckerberg is an android or a robot.
He's a lizard.
Oh, he's a lizard. Yeah, that's
his
right.
His eyes blink the other way.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So I don't know, guys. Let's maybe have a conversation about our favourite alien-themed films, UFO-themed films. That type of vibe. What do you think?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Can we take these off now?
Yes!
Oh, what?
So yeah, who wants to discuss first? Who wants to chime in first?
I'll go first. Whenever we have to bring something in, I always have two criteria that I try and think of. One, how can I shoehorn some comic book Marvel or DC in? And two, what's going to piss Ben off the most? So, obviously, I'm going to talk about the most famous alien, Kal-El the Kryptonian. I'm going to talk about Smallville.
God. He's actually done it. He's
Smallville,
done it.
Yeah. Obviously, I will always find a way to bring up superheroes.
How has it happened?
This was easy. This was easy compared to some of the fucking tenuous links I've made. Yeah, man.
True enough.
Smallville's a great show. Smallville is the reason that why every time Superman comes up and people are like, he's a boring character, I'm like, he's fucking not. If you write him well, you can. And I think the reason that Smallville works is because they had the time to tell him well. They haven't got to be like, right, we've got half an hour to tell you what he's about, and then we're just going to have him punch shit. Smallville's about characters, and it's great. And, we learn where he got his heat vision from. It's because he was a horny teenager.
What?
Yeah. So... The show opens with him having his super speed and his super strength, and then as it goes through, he picks up his other ones, like his X-ray vision and his super breath. Like, the super breath comes from when he has a cold, and when he sneezes, he finds out, oh, it's really powerful. The heat vision comes from when they have, like, a heat wave in the town of Smallville, and it's really hot, and he has his sex education lesson with the substitute teacher, who's all sweaty and like, oh, brushing her, and it's essentially a metaphor for, like, coming in his pants.
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm not even joking. That's where his heat vision stems from in this universe.
Wow. That's good, is it?
And that's a Michael quality.
No, even that one I was like, I mean, I get where they're going from, but a bit weird. But I just think it's a really good show for character.
Interesting.
Obviously, I didn't have that much to say about it because you guys haven't seen it. I just wanted to piss Ben off with this decision.
It doesn't. I don't think it pisses me off.
Wasteland.
Because Ben's going to talk about another comic book alien.
Oh God.
Nah.
Do you think Superman is a boring superhero, Ben and Christian? What's your take on that?
I like Superman. So.
I do think that Superman comes from an era where they did just keep adding on powers week by week to help him get through situations, and the fact that he is so powerful can make him boring. But I have had a friend before now put it more into perspective for me by saying that Superman embodies the ultimate comic book immigration story, and it is a very powerful metaphor for living in a land that you don't understand and having to adapt.
It's ironic because he's often sort of they quite often refer to him as the all-American hero, and he's not. He's an allegory for immigration, which is very funny.
Which is ironically, I guess that's what America is, though, isn't it? It's just a nation. It is a nation of immigrants, so maybe that's why it resonated as well on that level.
Maybe. Because
he's just as much he can be American as well. Because anyone can.
all Americans are immigrants.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Not all of them. The natives.
Yeah.
Been thinking about it because he's tied with good villains and there's good characters around him, and like in like all these like I know he's invulnerable other than kryptonite and sometimes magic, but like in all these superhero movies like the DC and Marvel ones, they're all invulnerable anyway because none of them will die, so it doesn't really make any difference.
Yeah,
like they're not really going to get hurt. Like Thor is just as invulnerable as Superman, and so is Captain America. So it doesn't really matter, does it?
I suppose that's just like main characters in general, though, isn't it? Really, like it's not just superhero films; it's like all films.
That's true, but I guess that because in all film they're not like from a source material where it keeps going and the sequel's already announced. Maybe like we watched Army of the Dead. We know who's going to live, but we don't. Do you know what I mean? Like we know because we know structure of film and main characters, but we also don't know. But Superman and Thor, like you do know. However, Iron Man died, so.
Well, I think Superman. I think people's like sort of idea of Superman being overpowered isn't necessarily that he's invulnerable, because there is, like you've said, a lot of invulnerable superheroes. The Hulk is invulnerable, but also the Hulk can't really control when he's going to turn into the Hulk, except when he can.
Except when the script needs him to.
Yeah, and he just gets big and mean and angry, whereas Superman, he has like heat vision, he can fly, he's super strong, he can stop bullets, he sometimes can, has X-ray vision, he can sometimes shoot frost breath, he basically has any power that he needs whenever.
That's why I really like in the first one, it's an element of his character that, like, it's because he can do all these things, he can help so many, but yet he can't help everyone. That's like a big part of him that, like, really crushes him. And that, like, it's why in the third act, it kind of ruins it all when he does go back in time. It's a part of that, like, the emotional arc of him trying to save everybody. He literally does save everybody by reversing reversing time. But
Smallville doesn't do that.
The idea of it is... if this predated Smallville, if that 78 Superman hadn't happened, Smallville would have done it.
I just really liked it because, like I said, it got time to expand the characters, and you get loads of lore in there. It brings in all like a bunch of different characters dip in. It goes through like a lot of his powers, a lot of different types of kryptonite. You get you don't spend much time on Krypton, but you get to see some of the lore and behind that, and it does cool little things, like when we did Batman vs Superman, Ben, when you were saying it did things that you'd always wondered and wanted to see about, like, oh, what if someone shoots him in the head. There's like a little touch that they have in this I really like, of the way he knocks people out. He'll just like sort of walk up behind them and just tap them on the head. Yeah, and he knocks them out because he's so strong. I was like, that's a cool little thought.
Is there a scene where he learns to shave?
I don't think so. He never really has to. It's Tom Welling. He's just a beautiful hairless man.
Rubbish.
Problem now.
So, do we have any other picks, guys, that aren't superhero films?
I mean, I know I've already mentioned one, but when you were saying then of there's footage and like these ships are doing maneuvers that they can't possibly do, but they are. That's literally an episode of the X-Files.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one?
Is it the three dots?
Yes, I think it might be.
It's like episode 2.
Yeah,
it's really
Seth
Green one.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, where Fox Mulder sneaks onto the airbase and then I think they wipe his brain or something.
Something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's really annoying because Scully doesn't see it and Mulder definitely does, and it's proper proof of like aliens' existence, and then they wipe his mind. Which is a running theme throughout X-Files series 1, where Scully just misses out on seeing the proof.
I can't wait for the when we do the video and the edit of the Scully just walking into the room after something's happened. Has happened. I will say, I think there was a I don't know if I talked about it on a previous podcast. It's a cool like mystery film, like what's going on. It's on Amazon. It's quite a lower budget. It is a lower budget film called The Vast of Night. Did I talk about this?
I don't think so.
I don't
remember if you're talking about it.
It's a great little film, like proper indie film made on their own backs, set in like the 50s, and it's like two students that work for like the local, I think it's like the school radio station, and like while working on the switchboards they pick up like weird frequencies and weird messages, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and stuff. Like there's an awesome scene where it's like a young girl, like legit like 17, 16, at an old switchboard, like 50, 60 switchboard. It's like a 10-minute take of her working the switchboard, doing the calls of the school and the radio station, the live station, and also intercepting these radio signals of what this thing they think might be some sort of spacecraft out up in the air and stuff. And there's a bit of a mystery element with the townspeople, like, cause I think it's near an air base as well, and they get some call saying, I know what it is, it's this. I don't want to ruin it for people, but that's a pretty great like kind of UFO film that is on Amazon. I think it's quite new as well, maybe last year. Great little movie. There's an awesome shot where like they found a kid's like little mini quad bike in real life. They asked this kid if they could have his bike, and he said, "Well, stick a camera on it, and you just like go through the town." And they had this great POV, not kind of like Evil Dead in that style, but not like horror-y, of going through the towns. You get like the geography of everything, like the school and then the station, cool. All the characters and the houses and stuff. You get the geography of all the characters. Yeah, it's really cool little film about aliens and maybe not aliens, all the mystery of what is going on in this little town in the 50s. Great little film, The Vast of Night. Yeah, really worth the watch. It's got a weird. It had my only negative of it. It's got a strange, like deliberately fuzzy look to it. The cinematography is not great. It's a choice that I disagreed with.
Do you reckon it's supposed so it looks like it's of the time? Kind of
I don't know. That's the thing, though. It doesn't look of the time, though. It just looks like when you get like a HD film and someone puts it on YouTube, it's in like 360p or 480.
Yeah.
This is clearly 1080 taken down. So it looks, if I can remember, it just looks a bit fuzzy sometimes, and it looks like a choice. It's
like
strange.
They've tried to make it found footage, but it's also not a found footage movie.
Yeah, and it's not filmed in a found footage way.
Yeah.
So it's just a strange visual choice that you kind of just got to. Your eye has to get used to. Yeah, just got to accept it. There's some great scenes though, really great long take scenes in it. Nice little low budget kind of movie and stuff. Really good.
Nice. I'll give that a look. Vast of Night, did you say?
The Vast of Night. Yeah, it's short, man. It's got to be barely 90 minutes, so I'll have a quick look while somebody else talks.
Talking of long take scenes, I've not actually seen this film all the way through, and I really want to.
90 minutes.
Sorry, James is having a heart attack.
Sorry, you know when you sort of like hiccup and burp, but it doesn't come out and it just goes down?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought I was going to die.
It's like you're swallowing like an air bubble or something, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh no, I've died!
Oh, God damn it.
It's the government, man.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Fascinated you.
Take me.
Yeah. But yeah, talking of long takes, has anyone ever seen Contact?
I haven't.
You haven't seen Contact?
I think I own it, but I don't.
I've not seen it all the way through. I've seen a lot of it, but I've not actually sat down and watched the entire thing. But it's very much kind of up my street, I think. For a start, it was written by Carl Sagan, who is he's dead now. He died in like the early 90s, but he's a very sort of prominent scientist, an actual scientist. He was behind have you heard of the Voyager missions?
Yes.
That basically are just somewhere out in deep space at this point, because he set off in 1971 and like literally never looked back. In fact, to tell a lie, they did look back, because one of the most famous images from that mission is called the I've forgotten.
Really famous.
No, it's called the blue.
Put your tinfoil hat back on.
It's called the blue dot. It's called the blue dot, but I feel like there's something else, like other than blue dot. Hold on, I'll give you.
Well, he's saying Contact as well. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis. It's a Robert Zemeckis film, starring people with very famous voices. Both Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey are in it as well.
I didn't know McConaughey was in this.
Yeah.
The image that I am talking about is called the pale blue dot. And it's basically the Voyager as it was leaving, I think, the orbit of Saturn, or maybe it was leaving the inner solar system. It turned its cameras towards Saturn and the rings of Saturn, and they managed to capture Earth, like basically suspended in like a sunbeam. That was just kind of across the width of this entire image, and it's basically just like a little pinprick of light, and it's like Voyager's last look at where we live. And it was like very profound, because like there's a thing that Carl Sagan writes in one of his books about it being like, oh, that's where everyone you've ever known and everyone that's ever lived and ever will live and every war that's ever been fought and everyone who's ever fallen in love and everything, basically, that's where it all is. Just in that little pale blue dot suspended in a sunbeam, you know. It's like, oh, okay. Christ.
Kind of
Mate,
mad how small we are, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Very.
It's mental.
Very insignificant, yeah.
But
I'm mint.
yeah. It's all right. I'm the protagonist of reality, so I'm fine.
All right, Christopher Nolan, calm down.
But yeah, there is to bring you back to what I originally brought up content for. There's a long take scene in that happens immediately. It's the first shot of the film, and it goes basically from the planet Earth, and it kind of zooms outwards and outwards and outwards, you know, in the almost cliched kind of like, we'll pull back and and we'll see how insignificant we are. And it ends with like, I won't spoil it because I want you guys to see. But it's a very long take. It goes on for, I feel like it goes on for a couple of minutes. But it's a pretty cool way to start a film, actually. But yeah, I've not seen the rest of that film, and I feel like I want to watch it because it's written by Carl Sagan, and it's very based on credible scientific kind of theories. It looks like Jodie Foster gives a great performance in it, and yeah, apparently as well, James, you might be interested in this. Doctor Strange actually took directly inspiration of one of its CGI shots, one of its special effect shots, from a shot in Contact when he's going through.
Now we've got to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. When he's going through one of his mad kind of hallucinations, there's a shot in it that's a direct kind of like quote, if you like, of the same shot in Contact.
That's cool.
Which is pretty cool.
This is completely off topic. What's the film that's got the long shot, or kind of long shot, of where it like follows a girl running through a hallway and it's pulling back and she's running towards the camera, and then there's like a kind of reveal of it, then goes into like her opening a glass cabinet to grab some medication.
I think I feel like that might be Contact.
I thought it was, because I thought that was the shot you were going to say. I thought it was from Contact.
No. But that's a really, really clever shot, because that's just camera trickery. I don't think that's a special effects shot. It's just some mad like angles and mirrors, literal mirrors. And stuff. Yeah, it's very clever, very good. But yeah, that's a cool film. It's a cool film, I think.
That's shite.
It turns out it's actually dead mediocre. A load of old rubbish. Matthew McConaughey's in it as well. I'm quite a fan. Who said that?
Ben.
Oh, of course, Ben said it. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, what else to mention? There's so many, isn't there? There's like...
Christian, you haven't said one.
We've talked about the X-Files, but I wanted to bring up a film that has David Duchovny in.
Oh, yeah.
With a lot of alien creatures.
The X-Files movie.
And he
Californication.
No, not that either. And he is... he does end up teaming up with an intelligent, like, sort of... I'm trying to think of the word now. I had it in my head. I had this like speech prepared.
Alien.
No, he does team up with this intelligent sort of red-headed scientist.
Ooh.
I'm talking about Evolution.
Yeah.
I see it. I've not seen Evolution. I'm out of it.
I absolutely love Evolution. It is more, compared to what everyone else has put forward, it's way more of a comedy. But yeah, it's basically a comedic tale about two sort of university scientists, played by Duchovny and Jones, who are first at the site of an asteroid crashing into Earth that nearly ends up killing a trainee firefighter, played by Sean William Scott. And then the government take over the site when advanced life starts to form and rapidly evolve out of the
That's
asteroid.
why it's called Evolution.
And it's just such a sort of bizarre. It's like very It came out in 2001. It's turning 20 next month. Just saying.
Wow.
And it's a very like bizarre of its time. Like, you know, Duchovny was still riding the high of the X-Files. Maybe actually 2001. Had he just was that when he was exiting?
I'm not sure actually. I feel like he stayed in it a bit longer than that.
He was definitely in it, but I know that his character does end up sort of dipping back in the later seasons.
Yeah. Wait, there's episodes like there's seasons of X-Files without Mulder
and Scully.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What's
it
the
didn't last
fucking
long.
point?
That's what the fans
It
said,
was
I think.
Tag It and Dog It or something like that.
Tag it and dog it. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it.
Yeah, there's a bit where because it like most American shows, they go on way too long.
Yeah.
It was both of them.
It should have been Tap and Sing. That's...
It should have been. No, wasn't it a legal battle? There was like something Duchovny had like slagged off the studio.
Oh, how very Mulder of him.
And basically demanded more money, and they weren't going to give him money, or he was trying to sue the studio, and they were just like, right, you're gone. And without Duchovny there, Gillian Anderson was like, well, I kind of don't want to do it anymore either.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's played by the T-1000 though. I think it's Dog It. I just had it then. Dag It.
Yeah, it's the guy who plays T-1000 in Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah, John Doggett replaces Mulder, I think, later on.
So, Christian, why Evolution then? What is it about it that sets it?
I don't know. Like, it's one of those films where it's like very early into sort of the next stage of CGI. So the CGI in it is very nostalgically wonky.
Yeah.
Like the aliens clearly were like well designed, but they didn't have they just didn't have the right technology to
Quite pull it off.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's it's sort of a really interesting story about the sort of fast evolution of these creatures. And it sort of has there's like a little bit of a basis in science at some points of the film where they talk about their like atmosphere and why they might evolve fast and delve a little bit into the science of that. But also it's just sort of a ridiculous 2001 comedy film. I don't want to say too much, but there is like some over the top humor, and the ending of the film and how it all boils down is honestly one of the most spectacular 2001 just ridiculous endings I've ever seen. And I still watch this film probably once a year as like a feel good, I am in the mood to watch this movie, because I love how ridiculous it is.
It's definitely a Timeless or Trash contender.
It's such a Timeless or Trash
In the
contender.
early days of the channel, I did make a very early thumbnail of it out of excitement.
It's a film that I constantly ask people if they've seen. The only person who I've asked and they've said, "Oh yeah, I've seen that," was Derek.
Of course,
friend of the channel.
The fifth Beatle, yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing that back.
And it's a film that even before we thought about doing this channel, I was trying to get Ben to watch.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking, of though, like aliens being real and the government maybe or maybe not covering it up, it's got some dodgy sequels, but the first Men in Black film is genuinely great. Like a really good film.
I do agree. I
rewatched it around Christmas because I got my nephew it. It's great.
That'd be a good time I saw Trash. Actually, Men in Black would.
I recently, it was like probably during the first lockdown, I sat down and I was like, I'm not in the mood to play any games. You know what, I'm going to watch Men in Black. So I watched Men in Black, and then I watched Men in Black 2.
Maybe not, but
I mean,
no, Men in Black 2 is the good sequel, to be fair.
Yeah, Men in Black 2 is the good. I say Men in Black 2 is a good sequel. I've never watched past Men in Black 2. I've never seen 3 or International.
I have seen 3. But it was like I saw it in cinemas at the time, like with a group of friends. And I remember snippets of it, but very little.
Yeah.
I never even bothered with International.
I think it was set in the 60s, and Will Smith kind of goes back in time and meets like a young, what's his name? Josh Brolin, yeah.
Good old Thanos.
K.
He does a really good Tommy
It's
Lee
K, isn't it?
Jones. Yeah, it's K. Yeah.
Yeah, J and K. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, in the first film though, the sort of the chemistry between J and K is great, isn't it? And the characters really play off each other like perfectly, like the two different personalities. It's like on that level, it's really really well done. And then you got like a solid concept as well. I thought it was really, I thought it was really
good. By
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I was about to bring this up. He's so good as that like
cockroach
skin
thing.
suit of the cockroach.
Yeah, so good.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's that grim scene where like he drinks like that water with loads. Is it loads of
Sugar water.
Sugar water, yeah. Yeah.
He just tips the entire like thing of sugar into the water.
He's going like more.
Yeah. Like the actress that plays his wife is the best at being like kind of like oblivious, like proper nothing going on behind the eyes. She's in a few things in that kind of era.
Her confused look is iconic for. Just as she sat there looking confused and disgusted as he's like spilling this water down his mouth.
And I can't remember what the setup line is. I think it might even be her says something about like, "Oh, your face is a bit off." He goes, "Oh," and just rips his head back. Is this better?
Yeah, she's like, "Your face is hanging off your bones," and he just literally,
"My bones, Annie." Bones are aching.
What a line! Line of the film.
Quick.
Remember, we weren't going to mention that though, so we weren't going to mention that.
I didn't mention
it.
No.
I don't know what you're on about. That's just a random sentence.
It's kind of like, it's funny that they brought it back because I just don't think there's any real like mileage in that.
I disagree
anymore.
Entirely. I think they did so much good world building in that first one. You can, and because it's similar to the X-Files, you could do it as a show with a monster of the week, a new alien, and all this. Stuff. If you're creative enough with it, I think there is mileage for it. They just, I don't. By the sounds of it, they went to, we're flashy, we're cool and new, and we're hip, rather than just go, let's just make a Men in Black film.
I mean, previously on the podcast, I had brought up that they did a Men in Black TV show, and it got 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like there's plenty of scope in this. They built enough world to do it.
Yeah, Dan.
Nah, I still don't agree though.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
The only reason I'm happy that Men in Black International exists is that the Men in Black The Ride in Universal is sick. And if they go too long without a film coming out, they'll knock it down, and I don't want that to happen. Now that there's a new film out, they can keep it for a few more years.
It's a travesty that they didn't do the Men in Black 21 Jump Street crossover.
I would have loved that.
That was
real.
It was real because it was part. I think they stopped it because of the Sony hack. It was in the Sony hack. There was emails about they thought let's do 23 Jump Street, but it's Men in Black where they fight aliens.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in a Sony boardroom because they apparently have some of the most mental ideas for films.
Aunt May the movie.
Yeah. No one wants to see. Even I don't want to see that. But they did they
James
greenlight
want
it?
to see it. No,
you'd be there at midnight. You don't lie.
Yeah, you'd
be there.
I got one.
I was going to say, Ben, you've not said any yet.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, what did you say?
I did the Vast of Night.
That was it.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't a real one, was it?
I think it might have been the most.
Dan woke up this morning and absolutely chose violence.
It was the most real one out of the lot, I think.
Okay.
Other than Christian.
Okay.
How dare
What's your second one then?
In Star Trek 4, there's a UFO where they look like big, giant mini rolls, and there's space whales. So that you've got to bring up Star Trek. So you were talking about Voyager earlier. There's the show Voyager, and in the first film, Voyager is an element of the plot.
So there's only 3 Star Trek films.
James.
You know what Ben told me the other day? And Ben told me the other day, talking of Star Trek, that
It's good though.
the theme tune from The Next Generation is actually from the motion picture.
Yeah.
Like, that really surprised me.
Yeah, it's just kind of revamped a little bit and kind of sped up a little bit. It's from the motion picture, yeah.
That was cool. I didn't know that.
Because the motion picture was meant to be a TV show, I think, and then it kind of got revamped and rejigged, and they brought the original cast in to make it, and then they made it into a film and stuff. I think, if I got it right.
Which Star Trek theme is better?
What,
Do you
Next Gen
reckon?
or original series?
Yeah.
Next Gen.
Yeah.
I love the Next Gen theme. The 61's very good, 60s kind of fun, and the revamp of it in the reboot that James is aware of is really good. But the Next Gen theme, that's so good.
Next Gen's Picard, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Data and Riker.
How come we only ever got 2 generations of that? You would have thought it's the kind of thing they would have really milked and carried on doing, or was Next Gen not?
No, I don't know, because
What you on about?
No, I know what James. You're talking about. There's only
they did
two.
the original one with Kirk.
Well,
then they sort of rebooted it with Picard. You would have thought they would keep just going. Like,
there are
really
other Star Trek shows.
There's Deep Space Nine.
There's Voyager and Deep Space Nine and Enterprise.
Oh.
I'm sure they released. They've been doing They've been doing ones recently, haven't they? The Picard show.
No,
Discovery.
but I meant like just continuation, like new captains of the Enterprise.
It is. Picard is the captain of the Enterprise.
No, but that's what I mean. So they did 2 sort of reboots like that with a new captain. I would have thought they would keep doing it like Doctor Who, like they'd keep just bringing in some new
the
people.
idea was at the time, so Next Gen is the revamp of the Enterprise show, but then they, it's a universe. And unlike Star Wars, they went outwards. They explored the galaxy because that's what Star Trek's all about. New worlds and new civilizations. So the idea was meant to be something different, but Voyager is just Enterprise again, and Deep Space Nine is something else. Yeah, you don't just do Enterprise every time. That's boring. Try and do something else.
I feel like it's sort of almost kind of primed for some kind of reboot, like the actual Next Generation sort of cast of characters and everything. I feel like it's there somewhere.
Isn't that what Picard is?
Yeah, I was going to say. I will say as well, James, that you do meet other captains of other Enterprises in the show.
Right. Okay.
So in Next Gen, that's Enterprise D, and you meet Enterprise C. I don't think you meet Enterprise B. And before Kirk wasn't the first captain of the Enterprise as well.
Mm.
Also, yes, the Picard was meant to be the Picard standalone show. I think it's just going to turn into the Next Gen continuation series. I think they can't resist. I think the viewers will go down and they'll go, oh God, bring out Riker, bring them all out, wheel them out. I think that's what it'll become. Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
It's crap.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you reckon there are any plans to do that with the films? Because obviously the films follow Kirk. Do you reckon they'll introduce Picard into these new reboot films?
But then again, I don't know if the appetite is there like it was. Like it's Star Trek's in a weird place now, brand wise, because it's not like those J.J. Abrams films were pretty good and a bit of a breath of fresh air in terms of like how people viewed Star Trek. Because I remember when it came out,
they Star Wars'd it.
Yeah, I remember. I really liked the first Star Trek film. Like I don't know how that happened, because you wouldn't think, because it's very sort of a little bit obnoxious and a little bit in your face and everything. It's very J.J. Abrams, but I really did enjoy it, and I thought this is actually like really exciting, because this was before the Star Wars sequels were announced, and it was between the prequels. Oh no, it's just after the prequels. So I really wanted a new space opera type film thing going on with actual like charismatic characters and fun and action, and that really kind of did that, the Star Trek film. But then they just ran it into the ground. That third one, that Beyond, was really mediocre. The second one
wasn't that the one that J.J. Abrams was like, nah, I'm not doing this one?
I think it was, yeah. I remember really looking forward to the second one, because it was at the height of Benedict Cumberbatch's kind of ascent to, world stardom or whatever, and I was looking forward to seeing what he'd do in it. And it was just a little bit flat, I thought, the second one. I can't remember what it was called. It was called Into Darkness, wasn't it? But it wasn't terrible. But it was just one of those where they didn't really take it anywhere interesting. And then, the third one was just straight up mediocre.
Because the second one, the first one sets up the new characters in a new timeline, off to do new adventures, all new. And then the second one is just a remake of Wrath of Khan. And it's like,
So I've not seen the second one, but I remember when it came out, there being this whole thing of they were like, he's not Khan, he's not. He's some new character, he's not Khan. Shut up, he's not Khan. It came out, he's Khan.
Yeah.
I'd love to do some Star Trek, like if that J.J. Abrams one for time so trash, or some of the originals.
I'd look at the originals. 'Cause I've seen literally the only Star Trek I've ever seen is the first J.J. Abrams film. That's it.
I am the same.
I'd quite like to take a look at some Star Trek.
I'd love to do it. I love Star Trek.
The thing is with Star Trek, though,
Patrick Stewart.
people really liked The Next Generation, I think, because it was less about like space and action. It was more about just like, it had some mad like ideas for each episode. Like it was really philosophical, and it dealt with like politics, and we could apply it to like the modern day life and how we apply it to actual ourselves. Like some of the stuff in it is proper like quite deep, and it ran for seasons upon seasons upon seasons. And I don't think there's like an appetite or an audience there for like a 20 episode kind of rumination on, you know, the human condition or whatever Star Trek The Next Generation was. People, that's the problem with Picard. I think they tried to like make it really broad and make it really like action orientated, when in fact people want something else from Captain Picard and want something else from Star Trek.
Picard as an old man just on his vineyard,
yeah,
just solving the problems with the wine, berries, the grapes, picking the field.
Pick of the grapes.
The grapes. That's what we wanted. And some like, maybe he would wander into the local village and there's maybe a bit of a robbery and he's got to talk people out of it. That's all he should do as an old man. It was just this fucking... I'm not getting into Picard. This wank show. And Discovery's just even... Oh my god. Oh.
Yeah, they're trying to make it into a space action film TV show. And that's not really what Star Trek is it?
So... Very
well.
But Star Trek, I think Star Trek belongs on television. The movies kind of run themselves. Star Trek kind of lives on television. It kind of.
Well, isn't there this thing where it's like the films really alternate of it's good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. There's never two good ones in a row.
Yeah, it did until it's personal opinion, but it did do that. It was the even number ones were the good ones, and then in my opinion, the J.J. Abrams one broke it, because that was the J.J. Abrams one is an odd numbered one. But even then, though, some of the ones that were the odd number ones, some of them are alright. Like 3's alright, if I remember it correctly. So
it's just me talking about shit I don't know.
Well, before we move on, any special mentions? Go on, Christian.
I did have one. It was one that I was considering bringing up instead of Evolution, but I don't know if I'd recommend this film. I watched it a while ago. I don't even remember why I watched it. It was just a film to sit down and watch.
Because that's what you do, Christian. You watch bad films.
Yeah, I do. And it was called Extraterrestrial.
Yeah, I've seen E.T.
Yeah, I was going to say that's E.T.
No. It's just called Extraterrestrial. It came out in 2014, I think, and is a half found footage, half regularly filmed alien film, but where they tried to sort of re-horrorify the original design of aliens. So they're like tall, spindly, wide-eyed grey men in, you know, circular flying saucers.
Okay.
Who abduct people. They sort of tried to bring that back and be like, oh, we don't need to overcomplicate. We don't need to overcomplicate aliens. We can still make them scary while having them with the original sort of aesthetic that they were portrayed with. And it is actually an interesting film. There's some like pretty good moments in it. And as someone who quite likes sort of found footage, I did enjoy the sort of found footage sequences where it was them sort of filming the UFO and trying to confirm what they were seeing out in... Because I think they're in this like isolated house in the woods, obviously. Rural America.
Of course.
It's got a very stereotypical setup. There is... one of the bizarre moments of the film is there is a genuine... You know, I was like, oh, these aliens are actually quite scary. This film could actually be quite good. The part where it gets ridiculous is when a few of them do get abducted and they go to rescue their one friend who originally got abducted on the ship, and then there's like a 5-minute anal probe scene, and I was like, okay, you've gone from being like, hey, yeah, we're gonna make like tall grey men scary again, to what was essentially a dark South Park sketch.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I can take this bit very seriously. And then the end of the film is flat out, shot for shot, just the end of Rec 3.
Oh, really?
I know none of you guys will have probably seen Rec 3, but I watched the end of Extraterrestrial and I was like, this is very familiar.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why is this so familiar? And it is just the end of Rec 3.
Is it like an intentional thing, or is it just a?
I think it's
close?
I think it's an homage to Rec 3, because spoilers for Rec 3 and for Extraterrestrial. I mean, we'll probably end up watching Rec 1 and maybe 2 at some point on the channel. Rec 3 is it's not great. But the end of Rec 3, they walk out of this sort of infected zombie zone, and it's like a bride and groom who've walked out of their own wedding that's ended up infected, and the military gun them down. And then there's this like panning down zoom shot as they both hold each other's hands and die.
Oh, lovely.
Extraterrestrial is
Till
they
death
come.
do they part.
Extraterrestrial is this couple, the only two that survive the aliens, end up back on Earth, are running through the woods, and then see the US government, and they're like, "Oh my God, we're saved! Oh my God, we're saved!" And then the US government spin round and gun them down.
Classic.
And as they both lay on the ground, it does the same pan zoom shot as the guy places an engagement ring into the girl's hand, and then they hold hands and die. And I was like, this is the same ending. Exactly the same, shot for shot.
That's really bizarre, isn't it?
Is it a good film or not? Extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial, I'd say, I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes. I'd say it's worth the watch for like some of the scenes. There's probably parts of it that I'm forgetting, but I didn't finish the film and think, God, I've wasted my time. I finished the film and I was like, okay, it was interesting.
Yeah.
And I like that they tried to sort of create fear again in this like sort of very outdated view of what aliens look like and how aliens work, because sort of since the 60s and 70s aliens haven't really been like tall grey men or little green men in flying saucers, because stuff like Ridley Scott's Alien and Predator and all that have kind of been like, oh yeah, we need to create different designs for different aliens, and it all gets very overly complicated. So they did try something by stripping it back and being like, yeah, we're just going to do bare bones sort of like 1930s 1940s style aliens. It probably would have been better if they'd have said it in the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But there's definitely some stuff they could have done better. But I don't think it was a bad film. I think there's some good moments.
And I was going to say as well, as a Kubrick fan, who could forget 2001: Space Odyssey? That's definitely an alien film if you think about it, because there's not actual aliens in it. Although I don't want to say too much, because
I was going to say be careful
because James hasn't seen it.
And
I won't say too much.
It's definitely an alien film because there's no aliens in it.
Yeah, well, I'll leave it ambiguous, James. Ooh. There's one shot, because obviously this predates CGI, video effects, computer-generated stuff. There's one shot where they're in zero gravity, and there's a pen floating, and it's a very simple shot, and now it'd be done with a computer render of some sort. Then it was done in a very clever way using a big glass plate, wasn't it? That was just held.
It's a pen floating, but a character grabs it while not in low gravity. So she's walking across the way, or think, she's just floating a little bit, and she grabs it in front of the camera and takes it. And how do you do that without special effects?
And they've just got this big cylindrical, like perfectly clear, transparent glass plate that they've stuck a few feet in front of the camera on set. You can't see the edges of it, and they've stuck this pen onto it. So to the viewer, it looks like there's nothing there, and this pen's just being suspended, and they're slowly rotating this plate very, very, very slowly, so it gives the impression of movement. And it's just really clever, a nice little practical effect. She just takes
really
it.
Cool.
And it looks great, still holds up today. All the effects still hold up, actually.
Because it's practical filmmaking without the use of dated special effects, so it absolutely will stand up. It's insane. Yeah. One honourable mention. It is a film, but it's not because of the film. It's just very famous for aliens and alien invasion. War of the Worlds. Very, very famous. Me and my dad were very excited for the BBC adaptation of it. When was that? Last year? The year before? That was really it was really disappointing. Really disappointing. Really slow, really drawn out, really boring. And in my perfect world, I'd like a kind of era accurate to the original story, like film or show. But I would try and incorporate the Jeff Wayne musical music to it, because that music in the musical version is almost as iconic as the original, if not maybe more so now. And I thought if you could kind of like meld the two together, bring them together, it'd be so cool. Or just have the theme of the show or film be the theme of the Jeff Wayne version. It'd be so good.
The chances of anything coming from Mars.
Yeah, or a million miles away, or something like that. And in the Jeff Wayne version, the one I certainly watched, Liam Neeson is the narrator, and it's like a hologram, and so he's in every show. It's really, really cool, and they had like a full size Martian ship in the stage show and stuff. It's really, really good. And yeah,
is now the time to bring up Titan AE?
that's another day.
Battleship Earth.
It's another day.
Oh, that is another day.
Battlefield Earth.
Sorry, Battlefield Earth, not Battleship Earth.
Which one was Battlefield Earth? That's not the one. No, After Earth's the one with the Smiths.
Yeah, no.
Right,
Battlefield Earth is
Morrissey
John Travolta
and Johnny Marr.
Anyway, guys, let's crack on. Let's bring this thing back down to earth, you might say. And we're going to talk a little bit about our thoughts on MGM being sold to Amazon.
This news is out of this world. It's
MGM, of course, the owners
astronomical.
of the James Bond, most famously. I can't think of anything else they're particularly well known for. James Bond's definitely the
Tom and Jerry.
Of course, Tom and Jerry. Yeah, how could I forget?
I didn't even know they did Bond. I knew they did Tom and Jerry, but I had no idea about Bond.
Rocky. They did Rocky. MGM's very synonymous with Bond with me, James, because it's in my watching it as a child. It's the logo before the Bond movies is the lion, so it's just so engraved in my brain.
See, because that's the thing. To me, it's so synonymous with every time I picture the lion, I hear the Tom and Jerry theme music already playing.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. But Amazon bought them, didn't they, Dan?
Amazon bought them. I don't know how much for. Do you guys know how much for?
It was like $8 billion. It was
$8
billion, which is about £5 billion.
That's a lot. It's mad when you think like Lucasfilm went for $4 billion, which you'd think Lucas. Although it's generally a bit. I suppose, but you're paying for Bond. I suppose, aren't you?
That's what I mean. There's more properties in.
More shows and movies.
I did check the other day, and I went down a list of like all the franchises that MGM owns, and after listing them all off, I was kind of like, you know what, they kind of got a deal here for all of the stuff that they now have the rights to.
Oh really?
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot.
I mean, I think it's actually it's a shrewd move from Amazon. Obviously they've got the money, because they've got the money to pretty much do anything. I mean, they've got a space program for we're talking of space and UFOs. They've got a space program. But I can see Bond, obviously this latest Bond film, it's kind of been in a state of limbo for what feels like years. I think it's literally been over a year now.
Yeah.
We're waiting for this film. Once that comes out, I think it's time for the whole franchise to actually kind of reflect a little bit and think about the future and what it wants to do with that character, because there's a lot of scope to carry on, and Amazon have just snapped that up, and now it's in their hands, isn't it? How do you think they're going to deal with it?
I think Bond's curious. Yeah, I think because it's Craig's last one, and they'll get a new. It'll be a new guy, because the problem is it's not that like Amazon now have control of Bond. I think what I've read is that regardless of who owns Bond, the Broccolis, the Broccoli family, they're people, not like the
not just broccoli plants, sentient broccoli plants.
They own Bond, so they have like the final say, and they are very much like the traditional Bond is big movies. I assume a man.
Well, but isn't that the idea that don't know the actress's name, but the one that was in Captain Marvel, was she not supposed to be getting her spin-off?
I assume
I
that's
think-
going to be something like that.
I think she's going to die in the film. I think she'll
You
be.
reckon?
I think in the film the big deal is I think Bond will have retired. She will be 007 and she'll
Yeah.
die, and so Bond will have to go back
She
in and
can't
complete
die.
it.
Because there's no
She
time
can,
to
Jane.
die.
Oh, I see.
I think she'll die as well because she's barely in the trailer. She's in like one sequence in a black suit and a sequence where she meets Bond because Bond teams up with her, and she's not in anything else.
Yeah.
She
Are
is
you a double
dead.
Maybe.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like it's one of them things where they've put quite a few like scenes of her in the trailer, but when you scan back through it, it's like she's wearing the same outfit.
all the
and
same
appears to be in the
outfit.
same
All
room.
the same location. She is
I don't know.
dead.
There's one. I swear, there's like a shot of her pulling away in a car. She like lifts some glasses down. That's new outfit. There's one where they're walking into MI5 or MI6, and like she and Moneypenny are joking about wanting to shoot Bond.
recruiting Bond, going into MI5 to get Bond on the mission. They go on the mission, dead.
Maybe.
Defo.
I very much get the sense of that. The shot in her black suit is like final fight.
No way, first act.
You don't reckon?
Yeah.
It could
Dead.
be. I fully believe you. I think it's a good theory.
So dead. I think the good thing though, definitely all of Bond will go on Prime. That's quite cool.
I like that because we touched upon this when we were talking off camera the other day. I know we shouldn't like this idea of there being a monopoly and all this, but I love the fact that with Disney Plus you just get full series dumped on a streaming site. So I'm kind of okay with like there being one place to go to find every Bond film.
Yeah, it's a good point you bring it up because that is like
Convenience.
the question of do Amazon have like the legal right to do this? That's like the same like when Disney bought Fox. Should they do this? Can they do this?
Yeah.
I think they might be able to because Amazon isn't a film studio. They're not. I don't think they're technically.
But they make Amazon Prime original stuff. So
yeah,
would that not
but
then count
they're
as well?
also like their food, and it's a ordering service. It's I don't know if it fully. I don't know the law because like
There's got to be Amazon
Disney's
studios.
just. Well, Disney's also theme park.
I mean, they
isn't it?
still have. There isn't a monopoly because they still have competition. You know, they still a lot of competition. There's competition from Apple. There's competition from Disney. Yeah, there's competition from a lot of people from Netflix. You know, so many different streaming services and content providers, if you want to say. But
we're
it's
talking
like
the cheeses is the
big ones.
movies,
Yeah.
And we're running out of opposition here. It's turning into Disney versus.
Well, it is.
Amazon.
It is. Everything is becoming a lot more sort of. I can see what they're going for. I can already envisage like what Amazon want to do with like a property like Bond. It's like they want to churn out. Well, they want to make films relatively regularly. Probably not, too regularly. Maybe once every 3 years, or because a Bond film still needs to feel like an event. So you can't have a yearly Bond film, or you can't have like you can't
be pretty regular, you know. It used to be like every or so 2 years. It was a Bond movie.
Sorry to really put a
happened,
pause
Jen?
in this, but I don't know if you're able to see it.
You just
On
caught a
camera, I
fly?
just caught a fly.
Jesus
Hang on,
Christ!
is that gonna?
Can you tilt?
Oh.
Oh!
Autofocus.
Make sure it's not covering the black.
No.
I mean, we've got our own Bond in the call, guys. There's a very own.
Yeah,
This
I
is
fully just caught a
prime
fly out of the air.
content right now.
Sorry for audio listeners. I just caught a fly out. There.
Yeah,
He
it's
actually
quite
did.
impressive.
He actually did. I can verify that. He actually did it.
So you actually just pinched the air and caught the fly?
It wasn't like fingers. I grabbed with a full fist and caught it. Yeah,
Oh, it's impressive because that's
Very
impossible.
Most impressive.
not for me.
But yeah,
Really, it's going to come down to if Warner Brothers sells out, it will literally be Disney versus Amazon. Because what
you
are
got
the big companies
Universal.
left? Oh yeah.
But those companies
And,
already feel like small time compared to like Disney as Amazon because they're just eating up every bit of competition, you know. And it's like obviously Universal isn't a small company, but compared to Amazon, you know, Amazon would I would just wake up and go, right, we're buying MGM and now we've got Bond. It's like not many people can do that, you know.
Yeah, I looked it up, and you've still got Warner Brothers, Universal. There's Viacom, CBS, who own a bunch of, and Paramount are like they were the ones that came to mind when I was thinking about ones that haven't been bought.
Isn't like Paramount a subsidiary of Viacom? or something along those lines. Like
Paramount might be a subsidiary of Viacom CBS, but I'm not sure.
I'm sure I see their Viacom logo on Paramount.
The only one I could think of who Viacom CBS own is Miramax.
But even then, with stuff like Paramount and Universal to an extent, I kind of forget that a film is distributed by either of those studios until I'm watching it. It happens to come up at the start. I don't think of, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you which film is or isn't Universal or Paramount, whereas you know a Disney film.
I think it's just, you have to think about it. Like on one hand, like these massive companies coming in and making their own streaming services is really good, because you get stuff like that wouldn't usually be made. Like you get these TV shows about like niche superheroes, you get stuff like The Mandalorian, you get a bunch of stuff that wouldn't have existed like years ago, and it's great on that level, isn't it? You know, but like then there's just like the worry that like, because it's so like in everyone's face constantly, like what these companies make, like they're just controlling very like what people see. And it's just that every single day where we have like the new show, you know, the new thing to watch, and it's like, it's just a bit unsettling that these massive companies are going to get to say, oh, here's your new thing, here's your latest show, you know, and where are the smaller kind of, all the smaller voices are drowned out. It's just a bit unsettling. I'm not saying they will do it, but that's just my issue with it, you know.
Well, there's the potential for that,
yeah. More than potential, because it already happens. Like the stuff on Disney and Amazon is very broad and very sort of like mostly, you know, it's very kind of, you know, it's for a specific market, it's not necessarily a good. Sorry, go on, Christian. I was just going to say it's not necessarily a good thing that we're getting all this proper populist stuff. Like it doesn't necessarily mean it's quality stuff or like thought provoking or decent. You know, it just floats to the top because most people like it. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's like great. And what does this look like in like 10 years? Like what kind of stuff are we going to be getting served up if it's just Amazon and Disney giving us stuff? You know, it's just going to get dumber and dumber and appeal to more and more people. That's my worry.
Before we do wrap up, anyone who's been listening and watching for a while, you remember we used to have a little segment at the end of our podcasts where we do like a sort of what if scenario, a this or that, a would you rather. We kind of ran out of ideas for them, and we were kind of forcing them to fit the topic each week, and we kind of realised it was, like I mentioned, it was a bit forced, so we kind of stopped doing them. But if any of you out there have got any like cool what if or would you rather scenarios you think you'd like to see us talk about on the podcast, send them into our socials, which will be in the link in the description. Well, not link, but they'll be in the description. Yeah. Send them to us, and we'll sift through them and maybe do a few of them if we think that any of them have got legs. So yeah, get involved, comment them, message them, just let us know.
I was going to say as well, we've got an email address, haven't we?
We do, yeah.
We do have an email address.
Do, yeah.
So I'm just thinking, you know, especially for audio listeners, but even for YouTube listeners, if you want to message us with any questions or even abuse, you know, that's fine. Send it to our email, which we'll link that in the description as well, because I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, people listening, I'm pretty sure it's Spacemen from Pluto YT@gmail.com.
Yeah. Also, today's been a bit of a weird day for the podcast because we have had a spike in audio listeners today, and it's really quite strange. I don't really know where they come from, and I'm kind of a bit skeptical that they're real, but maybe they're not. But we had quite a few downloads of our audio podcast today, and we have a few new followers as well, which is cool. So thank you to all
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, yeah. So yeah, if you guys want to watch the video version of the podcast, we have the YouTube channel that is linked in our channel description on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And yeah, where am I going with this? Who am I?
You're taking us home, mate.
I'm taking us home. Remember to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And that's about it, really. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Rate us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify.
Rate us 5 stars, or
keep coming back.
4 stars if you want.
No.
5 star. 5
be
star
honest.
For 5 star. 5 star for 5 star.
Yeah,
5 star is honest.
Don't rate us unless it's 5 star. Okay.
I like that.
Right. But for now, thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thank you, guys. We've been the Spacemen from Pluto. goodbye. See you next time.
Bye.
See you next time.